Hi, good evening and welcome to Tertulia. Here we go again. I can't believe this keeps going, and tonight we have a magnificent special guest, Manuel Ortiz. Buenas noches, Manuel, ¿cómo estás?
Buenas noches, estoy muy bien. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited.
I am so excited too because tomorrow we open Manuel's play, American Dream, here at Latea. So I thought of that this would be a wonderful time for us to chat and talk about your experience in the theater, your trajectory, hey, even your family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and also to go into American Dream. But before we do that, Manuel suggested and connected us with an amazing group of Chilean musicians. Who is A Desalambrar?
Well, A Desalambrar is a Chilean band that works here in New York, and I met them just after the social unrest in Chile in 2019. When that happened, a group of Chilean artists got together, and we did a few performances because we needed to tell people what was happening in Chile. And that's how I met A Desalambrar, this wonderful band of musicians, yeah.
I was impressed. I was impressed not just with the music, but also meeting them personally. So without further ado, A Desalambrar.
Sendas por los cerros, deja su huella.
That was amazing. Oh, what about that, man? Is that incredible?
I love them.
Gracias. Because I'm so excited that sometimes our guests have suggestions, and in this case, this suggestion is just amazing.
That makes me really
Amazing.
happy.
Anyway, you are from Chile. Where from in Chile?
I am from Santiago de Chile, the capital.
capital.
Yeah, I was born in the 1980s in Chacarillas, which is like, you want to say the hood in the capital.
Okay.
And I stay in Santiago until, well, 2019, and when I moved here. So
Okay,
born
so
and raised in Santiago.
born and raised and continuously there till 2019. Amazing. And I work closely with Carlos Dorta, who helps produce this program. And he was telling me that your great-grandfather, Manuel Rojas Sepúlveda, was the winner of the 1957 Chilean National Prize for Literature.
Yes.
So literature runs in the family. You write plays, you direct plays, you're a theater entrepreneur. Tell me a little bit about your great-grandfather and if he has influenced your work.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's not only my great-grandfather, Manuel, but like also...
Oh, you're named after him.
Right. Yeah. But also, like, my entire family, I would say it's half artists and half teachers.
Okay.
And that really marked me when I was, like, a kid, I would say. But also, it's like, well, half artists, half teachers. But also, since I was born in the middle of the dictatorship in Chile, also my family was part of the resistance against Pinochet. So I think that those three main things, like artists, teaching,
and resistance,
and the political resistance, marked me from a very, very early age, for sure. Yeah, and like Manuel, Manuel Rojas, my great-grandfather, has this, one of his most famous books, novels, is Hijo de Ladrón. And inside of Hijo de Ladrón, there's a chapter called La Herida, the wound, and it starts talking about like everyone has a wound that they don't really know where they are, but like they hide it sometimes, and sometimes it bleeds, and like that whole social construct like marked me from the very beginning, and to understand that whatever art I wanted to do, it must have like a social relationship with some issues, you know? I think like for the very beginning of my existence, it was like very politicized like environment.
Have you thought of putting up or adapting or working or referencing overtly? I'm sure it's there in your work, even in American Dream, but have you thought of adapting something by Manuel Rojas Sepúlveda into the stage in a specific way to homage him, or that's not in the cards?
No, absolutely, yeah. I think that Hijo de Ladrón, like...
It sounds amazing. The one about the wound? Yeah.
It's really, really good. It's translated into English and many languages. And I think they did a version of Hijo de Ladrón in Chile not many years ago. But yeah, and I think that as you said, I think that part of his history and his like novels and like literature like swims inside me, you know, like somehow, for sure. I think like the wound is something that resonates with me every time I like go to write something.
I'd be interested in if you do something with Hijo de Ladrón. I'd be very interesting. And I know you have a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Chile.
Yeah.
But you also went abroad, right? A little bit to Poland, Italy, right? Yeah. So, and I saw that you were exposed, or you have been working with Grotowski method. If you didn't meet Grotowski, tell us a little bit about, especially what you got from Chile, like your training in the theater, because you've acted, you've directed. I mean, you write. You've also been a theater entrepreneur. So is that coming from the Chilean side? And then how was the training in Europe? How did that complement your Chilean experience or coming of age?
Yeah, well, yeah, I wear all the hats for sure, you know, like a playwright, director, producer, blah, blah. So I got interested in Grotowski actually in Chile. One of his discípulos,
Right.
is that a word?
Yeah.
Did this like big workshop in one university in Chile, and I took it there, and it was like, okay, I'm interested in this because like the thing that got my attention was how Grotowski was working with the actor as the actor, you know, like as a person, and like working with their stories. And I think that in a way, that was like the open door to like start working with documentary theater. That's the next thing I started to do. But like on the point that you were saying, because like, yeah, I studied acting in Universidad de Chile. I entered to the university in 1999, which is like a long time ago. Back then in Chile, we didn't have like playwright schools or director schools. If you want to do theater, the only thing you can do is like study acting. And actually there were like 4 or 5 like universities that they were like doing the acting career. So it was a very like tiny field. And so I went into study acting and like I fell in love with it. But then, you know how it is. You know, like you fell in love with the thing that you're doing, but like also it's
There is more.
There
is more. I want to see more.
Some pain as well of an artist, you know, like
The wound.
The wound started to bleed for sure. And I'm
Yes.
absolutely, because like remember that like my first 10 years I was living in a dictatorship, and like the 90s in Chile wasn't very fun either, you know, like I am gay and it was illegal to be gay in Chile. So like, to be quite honest, I think that the theater world that like kind of like grasped me also has to do with that, like a world where I can actually express.
And you can belong, and people can relate to your life experience, to being gay, right? It was
Absolutely.
was it a family also to a certain extent? The theater world, I mean. Right? Okay, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Is that where you find family, you know? Well, the thing is like, well, I studied, then I froze my studies, the 3rd year. I came to New York, actually in 2002, because like it was like too intense. And when I went back to college, to the university to finish my degree, I started directing and writing and doing other stuff, because like I didn't feel like much comfortable acting. And that's why I started investigating Grotowski, but not from the point of view of acting, more of the point of view of like directing or creating something. What was very interesting, though, that when I went to Italy to study, it was in this church from the like 17th century, you know, with like, and it was like a conservatory. So like it was like from 10 to 7, all day working, and like very acting and physical stuff. And I remember like the first time I was there, we were like doing some exercise, and like we finished the exercise, and it was like, I'm gonna like faint right now. And the professor said like, please breathe silently. And I was like, and I almost faint, you know? But it was a very interesting experience. And when I went back to Chile, I was invited from this drama school to like teach Grotowski on like this Grotowski semester. And like, the interesting thing that happened, because I told you that like that led me to documentary theater, is that I did a semester with Grotowski with this group, and they asked me to like direct their final show, like the El Egreso de la Universidad, you know?
Like the showcase here after
the end of the whole process. But the thing is that was 2011 when the students in Chile rise up for public education, you know? So like all the streets in the capital were like taken by the students. And when I went to like the first rehearsal for like the final showcase, I asked the actors, okay, so what do you want to do? Like, let's do Shakespeare or Chekhov or whatever, you know? And they were like, no. We want to talk about what's happening on the streets. And I was
It is a Grotowski moment. It's perfect.
Absolutely. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And that's how like I went from like Grotowski, that was very like the Actors Center and the story of the actors, to like work with the story of the actors, but like at the same time work with the big story. So like I created, like probably someone else created it, but like I like start with the idea of like mixing the macro history and the micro history, and like how like
they intersect or not, or
exactly. And that's how I start working on documentary theater.
Oh my God! But so the Grotowski comes originally from an interest via academia in theater in Chile. Then you have this amazing experience over there in Italy, right?
Right,
And then Chilean history sort of like exploded, imploded your basis. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Like in the way that like, yeah, like Chilean history like just
Bah.
took me and like said like, hey, you want to do this? No, actually, you need to do this now. And like, yeah, in a way, once again, Chilean history like determined my path. You know, that's really interesting. Yeah.
And probably just consolidated that, what is it, this theater, the one that you've been working in, the documentary theater. Like to have a historical moment right there in front of you, your students advocating for the use of that historical, so that, because we just had some documentary, a great documentary theater from Peru, a company called Filmico, and this woman called Chaska Mori, this director, actor, kind of an entrepreneur like you, and it was documentary. She lost a house in Lima, blah, blah, blah. She regained it. So I guess, you know, there's just so much good theater going on in Latin America, and unfortunately, we don't have as much of it in New York as I think we would like. I mean, we try. Would you say documentary theater is now an it thing in our America, in Latin America, or it's not as broadly, you know, staged, would you say?
Oh, I mean, it's very popular now, documentary theater in Latin America. I would say Lola Arias, who is like an Argentina director and a well-known Argentina director, that's her field for sure. I think that also documentary theater comes as a style, or sometimes it's style, sometimes it's a gender, or sometimes it's a way of processing, you know? And Latin American artists saw an opportunity to tell their stories through this. And there was an urgency to tell our stories, you know? And I think that's very potent nowadays in Latin America. And I've seen, there's like, I always forget her name, but there's a very famous black actress that works with documentary theater here. And like I've seen like
from Colombia?
No,
she's American.
She's American. So like there's like a story of documentary theater here in the States. It's not well known. And if you want to go back, documentary theater started with Piscator in Germany in the 1930s. So it's nothing new, you know. But I think that Latin America took it and gave it his own like spice, you know, flavor. So yeah.
Huh. And you know, when we're talking about the theater that you've produced in Chile, I think it's so important also to talk about your company. I mean, your role as teatrista. In Puerto Rico, we have a word teatrero for people that are all about theater. You wear different hats, you do different things. It's just about the phenomenon, and you always participate, and sometimes you play pitcher, sometimes you're catcher. And is that what you mean when you say teatrista? Is there something else in that word?
That's an interesting question. Actually, teatristas, as I know, was like a term coined by Ramon Grifero, who is a playwright and director in Chile. And like what the meaning behind that, it's like part of the things that you're saying, because like, as I told you, like back then in Chile, and I would say that probably there's still not like careers to become a director or a playwright. I think it's still pretty much more acting, broad, you know?
General, yeah.
Acting. Yeah. So in that way, what happened in Chile is that you have to wear many hats because there wasn't like opportunities to like explore things, to like build up your like whatever as a director, as a playwright. So like I think teatristas kind of like have that meaning, but also it means it plays with the word artista as well.
I see.
You know, so
the author,
yeah,
the author,
exactly. The author of the stage, you know, and I think that that's something that also touched me a little so much, because I think that when I create theater, I want everyone who is involved to be an author, because like I think that one of the wonderful things about like the theater art is that you can have many voices on stage. I'm not interested like to be like the director and this is my only point of view. I think that is more interesting when you like put many points of views on the stage and like create friction.
And you're like a conductor, and you can bring and sort of modulate this. That's amazing. So is that what you did with La Criatura? I know you had your company, or you have your company. I don't know if it's going on right now as we speak. La Criatura. Talk to us a little bit about La Criatura, because that's even the name is just compelling.
For sure. Well, actually, La Criatura is my theater company that I created with this class that asked me to work with the student movement in Chile in 2011.
Okay.
So when they finished college, we got together again and we created our second show. And that second show was actually based in something that happened in Chile in 2012, which was that they did an act for Pinochet in Chile in 2012 in a theater in the center of the capital.
To salute and to support
to salute
Pinochet,
in Chile in 2012.
Right.
They invited Franco's son, Franco from Spain,
Yes.
and we couldn't believe that they were doing that, It was absolutely insane. It's like, hey, let's celebrate Hitler in Germany.
Right.
Or like, let's celebrate Videla in Argentina, It's so tough.
Strong.
So like, what we decided is like, how do you say that in Spanish? I mean in English. We went, like half of the company went to the homage, but like disguised.
Oh my God.
And
undercover.
Exactly. They went undercover to the freaking homage to Pinochet, and they took pictures, and they saw Franco's son saluting with like actually this hand.
Yeah.
Dude, it was like super, super intense. And that was like the seed of our second show.
Is it the second show, Los 99?
No, that's
Señales de Guerra.
Los 99, the 99s was the show that the showcase, like the final show from the college. The one with
the original,
like,
sort of the original get together.
Exactly. And then Señales de Guerra, like Signs of War, was the show that we created based on this homage to Pinochet.
Okay, this is the one. Okay.
Right. And then the thing that happened is that I was interested in do a one-man show, like go into like that type of like creation, like something little, and I
chamber music.
Exactly, and I also like I wanted to travel with theater, Like in that case, it was like okay, let's reduce it to one
light.
actor. And what I did is like I opened the conversation to the company, and I was like, okay, guys, like the actors pitch ideas, and one of the actors was like, let's talk about soccer and politics. And to be quite honest, I don't care about soccer at all.
You must not be totally Chilean or Latin American. I don't know much about soccer myself, football.
Well, but the thing is that I know that soccer, go through many situations that I think that are extremely interesting. For instance, all the soccer fields in Latin America were used to torture people during the dictatorships. So there's a huge thing in Santiago, in Chile, about the national stadium. It was a torture center.
Yeah, I know about that one. Yeah.
And that was okay, I don't care much about soccer, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I also know that all the kids in Latin America wants to be Ronaldo. And that's also a social mobility thing, because poor kids see that path as a way to escape from poverty,
right.
And that also relates to the American dream somehow, I would say,
Absolutely.
And
sí, el que no sirva partista, que se meta deportista.
Oh my God. So that phenomenon, I thought that it was very interesting to look and to bring a lupa, an augmented glass and see what's happening here. And we created that show, and that I think that with that show we went to Argentina, Brazil, Mexico. We did a tour in the US. We went to Spain. We went to Germany. We went to Italy. That was the show that kind of opened up a little bit of the world to me. So that was very interesting to work.
And what's the title of that one again?
Pichanga.
Pichanga.
Which means this is the name that we give where the kids in the neighborhood just go outside and play soccer on the street.
That's a
And
game
I
of
just take
pichanga.
off-
Ese
yeah.
es el juego de pichanga, iban a una pichanga.
Exacto. And in Argentina se llama picadito. Like every country actually has a different name for like that game that the kids just go to the street and play and like just take off their shirt and like those are like the goals, you know, the goalie, el arco.
You set up.
The thing is like also that's the thing about football, you know, soccer, is that you can just play it, you just only need the ball, you know.
Amazing. No, and that's a great common denominator there. What do you say we take a little break
Let's.
to listen to A Desalambrar?
Sounds good.
Let's do that.
Yo pregunto a los presentes si no se han puesto a pensar que esta tierra es de nosotros y no del que tenga más. Yo pregunto si en la tierra nunca habrá pensado usted que si las manos son nuestras, es nuestro lo que nos dé. A desalambrar, que la tierra es nuestra, tuya y de aquel, Pedro y María, Juan y José. Con mi canto, alguien que no quiera oír, le aseguro que es un gringo o un dueño de este país. A desalambrar, que la tierra es nuestra, tuya y de aquel, de Pedro y María, Juan y José. A desalambrar, que la tierra es nuestra, tuya y de aquel, de Pedro y María, Juan y José. A desalambrar, que la tierra es nuestra, de Pedro y María, Juan y José.
esta música a mí me eleva porque tiene todo, tiene no solo ritmo, tiene también el corazón, el duende de nuestra cultura prehispánica también se asoma. Hay muchas cosas, gracias, gracias. Y los integrantes, además, Carolina Lemiel, Pablo O'Connell y Franco Valdés. Qué maravilla conocerlos, muchas, muchas gracias. Y gracias a Manuel por presentarnos a Desalambrar. Y bueno, lo que nos trae, well, the reason we're having this program right now is because, well, Manuel is a super interesting up-and-coming playwright, director, all these things that are going on, and we have partnered, Latea and him, and also his creative partner, Rachel Shuey, for this show. And the show starts tomorrow. So please, if you haven't bought your ticket already, go to teatrolatea.org and make sure you get a ticket to American Dream. It's only 3 weekends, you know, or Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, starting tomorrow. And I think you'll have a lot to talk about when you leave that show. It'll give you a great snapshot of contemporary, the macro history that you were talking about with the micro history, how they collide here at Teatro Latea, thanks to the great imagination and the documentary training of someone like Manuel Ortiz. Now, Manuel, let's talk about this dream. I mean, is the New York City experience you've had being so dystopic, or is the dream a little bit exaggerated? The American dream plays a little bit of an exaggeration. How much is poetic license and how much is documentary?
Well, no, in this case, this is a lot of poetic license.
Okay.
I actually have 2 companies. So like with La Criatura, we basically explore documentary theater. And with Los Robinson, which is this other company, I work more as a playwright, and then I direct the play. However, and it's very interesting how you just said, like I still work with the idea of macro history and micro history, because I feel like that way allows me to like, not only to be universal, but also create friction between those 2 like histories, those 2 threads, you know? So yeah, and like, I mean, it's been crazy to be here. As I told you at the beginning, I moved to the States at the end of 2019. Mm-hmm. Best timing ever. Because then the pandemic just hit, like, I wasn't even like 5 or 6 months in here. So like I start like living kind of a nightmare pretty soon. And like what actually happens is that I wrote Sueño Americano.
That's the original Spanish version of what we're seeing tomorrow. When was that? When did you write that?
I actually wrote the first version in 2009, which is like 13 years ago. Okay. And it's interesting because like I wrote that version and I was like about to start the process to directing, and I got the grant for like study in Italy, and I just went away. And when I came back, it took me like 4 years to like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do this. And in 2015, I directed Sueño Americano in Chile. And we show it in Argentina and in Brazil. We actually work with Instituto Boal, from Augusto Boal, you know, because like also very connected with like politics and theater. So we show it in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, which was like amazing. And then, so like I was here in 2020 in a tiny, tiny, tiny apartment in Harlem, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? And I did a lot of things in Zoom, but like I needed to like create something. And I took Sueño Americano and I saw the play, and it's like, okay, let's translate this and like let's apply to grants or whatever. But as soon as I started translating, it was like, yeah, no. The Manuel who wrote this piece in 2009 and then
it's not the same Manuel.
It's not the same Manuel. Right. And that Manuel was living very different dreams and nightmares, you know? Right. I was like trapped in this tiny apartment in Harlem with like pages that like people like plastered on my door that says, if ice comes to you, do not open the door. Like, wow. It was very, very, very intense and nightmare-y. So I was like, okay, I need to rewrite this. And I used the same prompt, which was, okay, let's do that very loose version on La Vida es Sueño, And instead of having Segismundo in this castle in Poland in the 16th century, let's move Segismundo to a capital nowadays. What dreams and nightmares would haunt this Segismundo? So like the same question that I apply in Chile, I move it to the USA in 2020, and I think like, okay, let's have this Segismundo, you know, this Latinx, immigrant, queer Segismundo. What are the dreams and nightmares that are haunting that Segismundo in 2020 in USA? Like many comes to mind pretty fast. So I wrote the play and it was like, okay, I have it. It was a totally different play from Sueño Americano, to be honest, you know?
Now, was La Vida es Sueño always present? Like when you did Sueño Americano, that backbeat, that sort of, you know, Segismundo, the tower, the closed and close, you know, was that already part of the DNA? It was always part of the DNA of Sueño Americano, or was that prompted by the new experience? The proximity with the golden age, you know, the Spanish golden age masterpiece, La Vida es Sueño, did that get closer maybe in this time, or no?
I think so. It's okay, so like, here's the secret, I want to say. Because like, to be quite honest, La Vida es Sueño as a concept arrived to the process in Sueño Americano, not at the beginning. What started the process, or like the idea of Sueño Americano back then, it was like I was interested in the idea of lucid dreams and how can you control your dreams. And once I started exploring that, I was like, okay, if I wanted to like have a dream and control it, what would that dream? And I was like, I would like to talk with my dead father. And that situation was like the dramatic impulse, the first dramatic impulse that I have. And then actually a movie comes to mind, which is called Goodbye Lenin, which is a movie made in Germany. And like the idea of the movie was like this mother goes into a coma before the Berlin Wall falls, and she wakes up at the 2000.
After.
Exactly. And the son has to like, well, mom, like something happened that you should know.
Right.
So that idea I applied to like, what if I had to like have a conversation with my dead father and I tell like, well, actually, Pinochet was like over, but like, because like the thing is like when the dictatorship finished in Chile in the 1990s, Pinochet became a senator of the republic. We didn't have any justice. And actually, he died in his mansion.
And
so
all
like,
that money in London and whatever.
Like,
yeah.
You know, and like right next to like us in Argentina, Argentinian people were like trying Videla.
Yeah.
And Videla died in, and maybe someone here will correct me, but I think that Videla actually died in jail.
I believe so, but we have Pedro, our cameraman, is from Argentina, in jail. Yes.
You know, so like that contrast to have like the neighbor country like trying their like dictators, and we have Pinochet in the Senate. It was like brutal. So like that was the first germ of American dream, and then I started like thinking about like, okay, what are the dreams? And then I was like, oh, La Vida es Sueño, dude. And I wrote La Vida es Sueño, and like it became like part of the universe, and gave me actually this structure to like, okay, we're gonna do like this Segismundo, like was part of the universe, but like it wasn't like the first thing.
Well, for our those of you in the audience that can appreciate this, I took the liberty of printing this for you. If you can humor me and read this, I would be very honored.
Sure. Oh my God. Putting me on the spot.
This is La Vida es Sueño. This is Segismundo. And since you've been trained as an actor, I didn't tell him about this.
Dear God.
Just read it, however, but I would like to share this with those that can appreciate it.
Sueña el rey que es rey y vive, con este engaño mandando, disponiendo y gobernando. Y este aplauso que recibe prestado en el viento escribe, y en cenizas le convierte la muerte desdicha fuerte. Que hay quien intente reinar viendo que ha de despertar en el sueño de la muerte. Sueña el rico en su riqueza que más cuidados les ofrece. Sueña el pobre que padece su miseria y su pobreza. Sueña el que a medrar empieza. Sueña el que afana y pretende. Sueña el que agravia y ofende. Y en el mundo, en conclusión, todos sueñan lo que son, aunque ninguno lo entiende. Yo sueño que estoy aquí, de estas prisiones cargado, y soñé que en otro estado más lisonjero me vi. ¿Qué es la vida un frenesí? ¿Qué es la vida una ilusión? Una sombra, una ficción, y el mayor bien es pequeño, que toda la vida es sueño, y los sueños, sueños son.
Thank you, Manuel. You made me very happy with that. And that's one of the glories of Spanish language in general. It's one of the zeniths of Spanish language, of theater, of poetry, of so many things. And I find it so compelling that you're conjugating the documentary, even though this is not the documentary piece, he explained, it's more of this lyrical side or the theatrical side, but you can't in the reading process, which I've been privileged to witness, you see that sort of thoroughness with reality that sort of, permeates the whole play. Then you have a golden Spanish golden century sort of reference, and then a rhythm, a very good rhythm for this play. So it's very exciting. I mean, how you're conjugating, and then there's the political then there's the elephant in the china closet, Pinochet, your dad, all of a sudden coming back, that lucid dream. Let me tell you what's happened since you were gone.
Right.
So I'm very enthused. So it's really autobiographical. I mean, how would you rate it? Everybody goes, it's autobiographical or not, and we've said it's autobiographical, but with license, right? Or do you feel really, really close on the biography part? What do you say?
No, I think that the other day I was talking about this. I think that I always start working with my stories, like my experience, what touches me. But pretty soon in the process, I start editing, because I think that when you create, that you wear two hats. You are creating, and then you change the hat to editing, And when you start editing, it's like, okay, sure, yeah, I'm using my stories as a base, but this would be more interesting if we move this here and we move that here, And I took absolutely those poetic licenses because it wasn't about being accurate with my own story. It was more being explore the whole concept also of American Dream, because I that's also a big part of the show, how this whole social construct of American Dream is kind of used, I would say, to lure and deceive immigrants, because many people come here and they're okay, so where is that American Dream that we all saw in the movies, and that idea to start deconstruct what is happening there,
right.
That part of the show that I say American Dream should be if it's a TV advertisement, it should be a TV advertisement of medicine. American Dream can and will create stress, pain, back pain,
okay, we interrupt this locution to say we will have an amazing trailer of American Dream that goes along those lines that he's prepared with his co-director, also Navy Perez from Latea had also a participatory part in this and helped a lot. So at the end, don't go anywhere after our next musical interlude with A Desalambrar, which will be the end of the program, because we have an amazing trailer where Manuel and the Latea team and Rachel, they put together that sort of prescription, that prescriptive.
Yeah. I was giving spoilers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. This is very, very cool. And I want to go. Everything good does come to an end. We want to talk about the team. You have such an amazing team, and I know because you're a theater person. You've had teams in Chile. You have teams in Chile. Your crew, the company, La Criatura, the other company. But I was also struck. I mean, I met you as a team. I met you and Rachel Shui. So you have this co-director working on your vision. How is that? How do you guys complement each other at the directing side?
We struck gold when we find each other with Rachel. We actually start working just before the pandemic. Like we met just before the pandemic, and like we
Wait,
kept,
was the reading before the pandemic? No.
no.
the reading was
Remember, the
after.
reading was last
Right
year.
after, right after.
So
Or
like
during.
yeah, so like when we met, like I show her like American Dream, and she was like, "Oh, this is a really cool text. Let's talk about that." So like we kept like our creative minds alive during the pandemic. We actually shot a short film of the last scene of American Dream that is like sleeping on her laptop by now. Who knows what's going to happen with that? And then when last year I got the Corpse Art CD grants for doing this stage reading, and like I came here, and like we were like, let's do it here, and it was like very, 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 very. I was very lucky to meet Rachel, and we create this whole process together. And she, because like she's from here, she has been working in New York as well. So like she found these amazing, amazing actors that you will see when you come to see American Dream. And
how many of those have changed from the reading? Because I remember being blown over during the reading here in this same room. We were in this,
Right.
you staged the reading in this room, very elegantly also, spare, but super elegant. And I remember being completely, blown away by the variety, the Latinos, the non-Latinos. It's what I think Latea should do all the time, and, we're striving for it. But this was just perfect. So has there been an attrition rate? You have other people, you have some of the same people. What's it like with the actors right now?
well, we are very, very, very happy because the lead actor that worked with us at the reading is working in this full production, and he's very invested, Jake Lozano, and he's a really, really good actor. And it-
Would he be your alter ego? Kind of? Is that
Kind of,
Manuel?
yeah.
I mean,
what
I
is
know
funny
that's
when
like-
we did the stage reading, I
Yeah.
had my hair dyed blonde, and he was exactly the same. So it was like very on the nose, like the
Okay.
alter ego thing.
Okay.
And then we also have another actor that worked with us at the stage reading, and that makes us very, very, very happy. And I think that it's part of the business that like you were coming like change actors. But like what's interesting though is that allows us to look again to the show, because like when you work with actors, you're like kind of like, okay, that character, it's her. But then if you have to change the actor, it's like, oh, so this is a different possibility.
Another facet, other aspects, yeah.
And that has been very, very interesting because like I think that we have like a fantastic cast, and they have shown us like different parts of the play that we weren't aware of that.
Well, I'm very excited because I'm very happy that Jake is on board,
Yeah.
but I'm also looking forward to seeing the new modulations that the amazing people that you and Rachel have brought on board will bring to the play. But I think we want to bid our farewells. Thank you so much for joining us for this Tertulia. I don't know if you have any last something you want to tell our people watching us. Anything you want to leave them with, or words of hope, or hopefully hope not distress, or something, or your next project. How would you like to end?
Sure. First of all, I would like to say that even though the themes of the show has some depth, and it is based like on a tragedy. Actually, La Vida Sueño is a tragedy. Yeah. This show, it's packed with dark humor. It's a very like entertaining show. We have like you're gonna laugh and then you're gonna cry, and we have like a tap dancer. We have like songs, music. Like it's a very entertaining show, and like it's actually I'm like just giving the secret because like I always start like working with like comedy, so like the audience like hey laugh and like relax a little bit, so then you can like serve the tragedy and like go deeper into that. Exactly. So like just invite everyone, because like I think that not only like the Latin community but like also the American community, because like we all are dealing with our own American dreams, and I think that we need to look at that and like how can we like go for American dream that it's not only my own private American dream,
That's right.
but like it may be something more collective, because like I think these times are asking for that for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. So we're going to go listen to Desalambrar. So we finish with some music after this wonderful tertulia. And please keep it on after the music because we have some video medicine for you, right? About American Dream. Gracias. Good evening. Gracias, Manuel.
Muchas gracias a ti, Miguel. Un saludo a todos.
Miguel vivía en una casa con vista a la esperanza. Miguel vivía en una casa con vista a la esperanza. Era un compañero del curso de la aurora. Era un compañero del curso de la aurora, de la aurora.
Casi todos repetimos menos él, que se fue a estudiar la primavera, la primavera.
Allá donde llegan los valientes. Los valientes, aquellos que recibieron en silencio la tortura y aquellos que callaron para que otros vivieran, aquellos que recibieron en silencio la tortura y aquellos que callaron para que otros vivieran. Miguel vivía en una casa con vista a la esperanza. Miguel vivía en una casa con vista a la esperanza. Era un compañero del curso de la aurora, de la aurora, de la aurora. Era un compañero del curso de la aurora, de la aurora, de la aurora. Y ahora cuando ya se ha marchado, nosotros debemos de habitarla, debemos de habitarla. El derecho de vivir, poeta Ho Chi Minh, que golpea de
American Dream may and probably will cause stress, back pain, headaches, migraines, stomachache, diarrhea, depression, delusion, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, and death. American Dream may and probably will cause stress, back pain, headaches, migraines, stomachache, diarrhea, depression, delusion, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, and death. American Dream may and probably will cause stress, back pain, headaches, migraines, stomachache, diarrhea, depression, delusion, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, and death.